Welcome to the Osmo Early Bird Podcast. I'm your old pal Emac coming to you with Saturday NBA action courtesy of the association. I am joined by one Adam Ship, my money sharer, as we prepare to break down the 8 games on the Early Bird Podcast courtesy of Osmo.com. How have you been, Adam? We haven't talked in a few days because the fella Lofty D is filling in on Thursdays, and now you get to work with one Dan Strafford.
Yeah, been pretty good. DFS been a rough week for me, but can't really complain. So yeah, haven't been bad.
Good deal, good deal. I like when we switch up the hosts every now and then. I think it's fun to work with different people. Now you get a nice blend of Josh and me and Lofty, of course, because you're on a ton of shows. But you don't get to work with Dan as often, and I like it because I don't, get to work with I mostly work with you,
right?
So
exactly.
It's kind of fun. It's like, oh, this is different. So
yeah,
good times ahead. Keeping it fresh as we head into the NBA All-Star break. Reminder: we have a ton of NHL content here on Osmo.com. If you have not yet signed up, this is the perfect time to try it out, especially all you basketball hoop heads. Because if you use promo code EARLYBIRDS, you will get 50% off any 1-month package, and that does include the Fantasy Cruncher add-on. Now, you can also look at our YouTube channel as Josh hooked everybody up and did a Fantasy Cruncher tutorial as part of his bankroll management series today. So that's on the Osmo.com YouTube channel. And then I'm going to tell you how to win or get a chance to win 1 full year of Osmo.com premium content, the entire year, full subscription, because we're celebrating our 1-year anniversary, Adam. But let's dive in here to the news and notes. We have an 8-game slate. There is 1 game at 5 o'clock Saturday. That is San Antonio at Utah, teams that are on a back-to-back, and we, of course, are recording this on Friday night, so we haven't seen the 8:30 and on games tip off yet, but we have Cleveland. They're on a road back-to-back. We have Washington, who is home on Friday, on the road Saturday. New Orleans, also in the same boat. They are at home on Friday, on the road Saturday. And then we have 3 teams that were on the road Friday that will be home Saturday, and that is the New York Knicks, the Chicago Bulls, and the Milwaukee Bucks. Injury news and notes. We have Cleveland. Shetty Osman was out Friday with an ankle injury. Not sure what his status is going to be for Saturday. Tristan Thompson has no return in sight. Brandon Knight, who the hell knows? For Indiana, we have Doug McDermott, doubtful once again with ribs, unlikely to play. We have Nick Stauskas, who in the last 4 days has been with Portland, Cleveland, Houston, and Indiana. There's a good chance Indiana is going to waive him if they have not already. That's kind of a bummer. Hopefully he just hung out in one place and didn't travel to all these different cities or wherever those teams were. For Charlotte, we know that Tony Parker is out with a back injury. For Chicago, this will be a back-to-back. We have Zach LaVine playing on Friday, but he missed Thursday's practice, so we'll just something to monitor because he's going to be a fun play against the Wizards on Saturday if he's available. For Toronto, we have Kawhi Leonard is questionable once again with a knee injury. Now, he did not play on Thursday. That game was in Atlanta, and Atlanta was spirited there through the first half and into the third quarter until ultimately Toronto just knocked them around. That was not to be unexpected. They will be in New York. Toronto will. So I believe they're in New York. Yes, they're on the road in New York. So New York is coming off their own back-to-back. We'll have to see. It would not be a complete shock if Kawhi sat out again. I would be surprised if Marc Gasol didn't play. Now, he was recently traded at the deadline to Toronto, which of course was a bit of a surprise because while we knew he was going to be on the move, there was a lot of rumblings about him going to Charlotte. But just keep an eye on that. They may not worry about playing him against New York, or they may use this as an opportunity to start to work him in. We'll know more after the shoot-around on Saturday. For New York, we know that Moutier and Frankie Nicolina are out through the All-Star break. So fire up those Dennis Smith Jr. shares. For the Clippers, we know that Landry Shamet, Garrett Temple, Wilson Chandler, and Ivica Zubac should all be available to play on Saturday. Now, whether they play or not, we'll have to see, but they should all be available. For Boston, Daniel Tice had a great game on Thursday. He's questionable with the knee injury. New Orleans, this is going to be a back-to-back, as I mentioned, and we've seen that Anthony Davis, they've already called out that he's unlikely to play on back-to-backs and is unlikely to play near what his minutes load was. So we'll probably see him in the 33 to 36 minute range, but he is not, or he's very unlikely to play Saturday. Eton Moore, Elfrid Payton, and Jahlil Okafor, all questionable. That game, again, has not tipped off yet on Friday, so we'll have to keep an eye on what's going on with them. For Memphis, Kyle Anderson is out. Jonas Valanciunas was ready to return, but he was traded from Toronto to Memphis, so we'll want to wait for news on that. But I suspect we will see him. And then Joakim Noah is dealing with a sore heel still. He is doubtful. Last team, finally, Milwaukee, we have Chris Middleton is probable. He sat out Friday for rest. Mirotic is doubtful. He was just traded near the deadline to Milwaukee, but he's doubtful with a calf injury. And then just keep an eye on Giannis. He is on a back-to-back, has been dealing with a sore knee. This one is the late night hammer, which is only at 9 o'clock Eastern, but that's against Orlando. So potentially they may give him a breather. We'll have to see, but just be cognizant of that. Adam, I'm going to turn this over to you. Let's just start off on point guards here.
Yes, I mean, you have Russell Westbrook at the top in a favorable matchup against the Houston Rockets. He has, of course, been playing really well lately. We're seeing his minutes staggered with Paul George, which gives him more time on the floor without George, where he can be more productive. It also, of course, benefits Paul George's production as well. 11,200 on DraftKings, a pretty nice price point for him in a vacuum, but it is a pretty deep position with guys in a lot of good spots here. You have Kyrie going against the Clippers. A fast-paced or an up-tempo game for Boston. Kyrie obviously has been very good lately. You have Kemba in a huge up-tempo spot against Atlanta. Cody Zeller back for the Hornets is a positive boost for Kemba, who operates out of the pick and roll so much. Cody Zeller, a very good screener. You see Kemba's field goal percentage go up when Zeller's on the floor. His assist percentage goes up. Just becomes an all-around more productive player. So you get Kyrie and Kemba for a pretty nice discount off of Russell Westbrook if you can't find enough money to get all the way up to him.
All right. Anybody in the discount dandy land here? We've got Tomas Satoransky, not exactly a complete discount. He is at 5,900, but this should be a fun one going against Chicago. We do have a variety of guards here from Cleveland: Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton. They're just above and just below the $5,000 price point on DraftKings, respectively. And then we've got $4,800 Dennis Schroeder going into Houston. He has had some nice games recently. And, oh, good God, it's Fred VanVleet. If Kawhi's out again, join the masses heading there to Fred VanVleet. What do you like here in the discount section?
Yeah, I think you can go right back to Colin Sexton. Tough matchup against Indiana, but right now just having to play a ton of minutes for Cleveland. If Brandon Knight is out, that makes it even more appealing for Sexton. Still cheap. You know, he's basically a 0.8 fantasy point per minute guy, but he's just playing so many minutes right now that he's appealing. Thomas Satoransky against Chicago, I think the price tag's still reasonable on him. You know, we've seen his minutes down in some games lately, but for the most part, it's been game flow issues where either the game is a blowout or the game was a blowout and the second unit brought Washington back, and we don't necessarily see all of the starters come back in that situation. So I still think that in competitive games, you're getting, you know, mid-30s from Satoransky, and it's a pretty nice spot against Chicago.
All right, last guy down here, and this will serve as our transition to head over to shooting guard Malik Monk, down to 3,800. His minutes, you know, 5 of his last 6, they've been 20 or more. His last 2 games haven't been that great. He, of course, is much more scoring dependent. We already know that Tony Parker is going to be out. Would that be someone you would allow to flow into your teams if you're running 150 lineups, Adam?
I mean, I don't take anyone out of my player pool, but I doubt that I would get to a whole lot of Monk.
All right. Well, that reminds me, the Fred Van Elite Fan Club number, 57, I think, will be going off on Saturday. Jump on in that one. I am the only one required to play Fred Van Elite, but he was a good play on Thursday, and many other people joined me in that one. I just missed cashing, Adam, because I also played one Mr. Motley. Jonathan Motley. Foolish me. Foolish me. In any event, let's talk about our shooting guards here. Up at the top, we have a spirited game between the Houston Rockets and Oklahoma City Thunder. We are looking at the highest of our currently posted over-unders. That is sitting at 235 with the hook. What do you like here with James Harden? We know that Chris Paul should be playing.
Yeah, I mean, the $12,200 price tag on DraftKings is still reasonable for Harden. Even with Paul back, you still get around the 40% usage rate, 38 to 40 minutes from Harden. Pulling up his FanDuel price now, 13.6. I really just have no interest on FanDuel. It's a less appealing scoring setup for Harden anyway, and then the price tag, obviously just through the roof. So really site dependent for me on Harden.
All right, let's see here. Two things I didn't call out. The two teams that are on back-to-backs playing Saturday as well as Sunday will be the Orlando Magic and Atlanta Hawks. Keep in mind that we do have a 5-game slate, though only 3 are after 6 o'clock. 2 of them are at 3 and 3:30 respectively, so I'm guessing it'll just be a 3-game slate. But we will have content for that with projections, ownership projections, etc. at Osmo.com. So we're going to take a quick moment here before we get to the rest of the shooting guards here and talk about the celebration. Guess what? February 15th will be the 1-year anniversary here at Osmo.com. So to thank all of you for the support that you've given us through our first year, we are giving away 1 all-access membership, the kit and caboodle, everything, for 1 loyal viewer that is not already a subscriber. Heck, if you already are a subscriber, you can still go for it. But if you are the one person that is picked in the lucky drawing that is going to happen on February 13th, you will receive 1 full year of all access Osmo content. Now, how are you going to qualify for that? Well, there's 2 ways. You can go to Osmo.com and look, or probably on Twitter, you can go to Osmo_COM, look at the pinned tweet. You can retweet that with the instructions on what you are supposed to do. That will gain you 1 entry. And then on any of our YouTube shows that happen between now and up through the evening of February 12th, if you like and leave a comment in the comment section, you will be eligible for that drawing. So you can enter as many times as you like. You just get 1 per show. Our poor social media fellow's going to be going through all of that stuff, but let's give him a little bit of something to work for. So for today's question, you are going to have to tell us what your favorite flub was that you've seen on any of the Osmo shows throughout the last couple years. Was it me randomly dropping an F-bomb on air, which I normally don't do? Was it Adam and his modem? Was it Laffy with the vape pen and having to get up and go refill it during a show? These are all the fun things that have happened. So once you have listened to this, go to the YouTube channel, click like, and then you'll see the comment section appear. And the comment section appears for any of our live shows after the show is over. The comment section will then appear. So not in chat, but in the comment section. Leave your comment, and we will reach out to the lucky winner, which you will find on the February 13th drawing. All right, Adam, now we are back in business here. Looking at the rest of these guys here, we do have Bradley Beal. He's going to be on a back-to-back $9,000. He's going against Chicago. It will be interesting to see what happens because this is a quick revenge. We've got Jabari Parker and we've got Portis for the Wizards now. We've got Otto Porter over there for the Bulls. We'll talk about them in the forward section, but this should be a fun game. I heard, I think it was Laffy called it out on the show. He said he would be shocked if there's not a benches clearing brawl during this game. Adam, you're a Wizards fan. What do you think here with Bradley Beal?
Yeah, Laffy's really excited for this game, and I don't blame him. Yeah, I mean, I like Beal. He's reasonably priced. It's a good matchup. He plays huge minutes. They're at Chicago, which, makes it more likely that this game stays competitive. So yeah, I like Beal. I think that it's not the deepest position either, so there's not as much opportunity cost as normal.
Yeah, so things get a little dicey because you've got Donovan Mitchell and DeMar DeRozan, but they're on that 5 o'clock game. So they're going to be out of our player pool. We've got Jrue Holiday on a back-to-back. He's up to 8,600. He'll be going against Memphis. He's going to be in the mix. Zach LaVine, we're going to want to pay attention against sore ankle, and this will be a back-to-back for him, but I suspect he will play. You've got Chris Dunn in there. Do you like these guys going against the Wizards?
Yeah, it's a nice spot for them. I expect Washington to go back to not being very good defensively after trading Otto Porter for Portis and Parker. 6,600 for Zach LaVine is just too cheap of a price tag in this spot. 6,500 for Dunn is pretty nice as well. I prefer LaVine to Dunn, but I think that both are pretty strong plays.
All right. What the hell happened with Lou Williams? He only played 18 minutes in his last game, and Indiana completed the double ass whooping of the Los Angeles teams. They beat the Lakers by 40-something, and then they turned around and beat the Clippers 2 days later by, 24 points. Holy hell. Are you going to go back to Sweet Lou?
I think that it's a decent tournament play. It's not a good matchup against Boston. He's going to get all the opportunities in the world to have a big game, monster usage rate without Tobias Harris. The problem just, is that it's a tough matchup. You can very easily see a blowout here. Not that you want to project that, but I think if where I do have Lou Williams in lineups, it makes sense to pair him with someone from Boston.
I'm just trying to see. Okay, so Delon Wright is now with Memphis. Somehow I missed that one. That would, of course, be why I got to update my filters at him, because I still have him here on Toronto. But in any event, down here at the cheapies, we've got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Patrick Beverly feels a little bit dangerous considering they've got this influx of new players. We've got Corey Joseph, who's jumped all the way up to 4,600, but he is going against Cleveland. He had a nice game coming off the bench there. Definitely has outperformed or outkicked his coverage, but he seems like someone that feels like a little bit of a reach at 4,600. And then let's see, what else do we have? Yikes. Jaylen Brown, perhaps, against the Lakers. Anybody here before you get into your deep research that you would consider at the discount bargain bin?
I think Terrence Ross is interesting against a fast-paced Milwaukee team that allows more three-point attempts than any team in the league. We've seen Ross just playing incredibly well lately, playing anywhere between 26 and 30 minutes off the bench. I think he ends up being a pretty interesting option.
University of Washington, Terrence Ross, now joined by fellow University of Washington first-round pick Markelle Fultz there on the Magic. Do you think we'll see Fultz play at all this year?
I think so.
All right, we've got, I just wanted to take that moment to pull up the Terrence Ross game logs. 3 of his last 4, he's gone for a 40-burger. That's impressive. The other one, well, not so much. He only scored 7 real points, and let's see, yikes, 9 fantasy points. That's not good. That was against Brooklyn, and the Orlando Magic kicked the crap out of him. So that will be interesting to see what happens. The Magic are on a 3-4 winning streak here. Tough matchup here against the Bucks, but we'll have to see there. As we head on over here to small forward, let's utilize that to talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo. 11,400. The back-to-back, the sore ankle. Middleton should be back. That feels like a lofty price point. You've got Paul George checking in still at 5 figures, but he is at 10,000 even. That is an 11% discount on Giannis over there on DraftKings. Thoughts at the top of this position here?
I mean, I love Giannis as a player. It's just so difficult to pay over $11,000 for him because he doesn't get as many minutes as other superstars do. Even in competitive games, normally you're going to get around 34 minutes from Giannis. It's not a great spot against Orlando either. They do have, they have a couple long defenders in Aaron Gordon and Jonathan Isaac. They've been a top 10 defensive team over the last month. So it's, again, not that I expect a bad game out of Giannis, but where Paul George is cheaper, on DraftKings, he's $1,400 less expensive in a favorable matchup against Houston, it becomes tough for me to prioritize Giannis over George.
All righty. Got too many windows open here. Scrolling down to the mid-tier, Bojan Bogdanovic had looked pretty darn solid over his last 4 games. He's got 46, 34, 23, and 44 fantasy points. He is averaging 34.5 minutes during this stretch. He is also averaging 22 NBA points. Sometimes we have to clarify that, Adam. And he is now kind of their second scorer, and they're going against Cleveland. Feels like a spot where we're going to look to Boyan.
Yeah, he's been playing really, really well. The price tag has come up a bit, so it's not as appealing as it was a week or so ago, but still a really good matchup against Cleveland. And we actually saw him get a lot of blowout run in that game against the Clippers too, which is nice because it just elevates his floor if he's going to play a bunch of minutes regardless of the score.
All right, that gets us to our first of the vengeful traded guys, Otto Porter here. We'll have to see how he plays on Friday. Again, we're recording this before, Adam and I aren't, or at least I'm not watching the game yet, but we'll have to take a peek at what happens for that. But how do you like him against his former squad?
Yeah, we'll have to see, how many minutes he plays in his first game, but he did start, which is good. And I like the spot for him. We know Washington is going to struggle defensively. He's only $5,600. Assuming he plays somewhere between like 30 and 34 minutes in his first game with Chicago, I really like him. I would put him ahead of Bogdanovich.
Okay, that was going to be my direct comparison. And then rolling down through the rest of the mix here, you've got Eric Gordon, who is in a good matchup. He does have small forward eligibility there on DraftKings, as well as shooting guard eligibility. He's going against OKC. You've got Marcus Morris in a matchup against the Clippers. A bunch of different people he can guard there. I do like him. And then Marvin Williams has had some real moments recently, Adam. I don't know what the impetus is for those, but in 3 of his last 4, he's topped 25 fantasy points. He is going against Atlanta. That is a solid matchup for him. Again, he's their starter, and as long as he's getting his usual 28 to 32 minutes, I think he's going to be an interesting tournament option here. Thoughts on him or anyone else at small forward?
Yeah, I mean, Williams, it's a good matchup for him going into Atlanta, and the minutes have been nice. I like the price tag. I think where he's small forward eligible on DraftKings is really appealing. Obviously, you have him at power forward on FanDuel, and it's tougher to get there. But on DraftKings in particular, I think he's a pretty good play.
All right. And, hey, revenge, because he did spend the first 7 years of his career in Atlanta. Of course, he spent the last 5 in Charlotte, so maybe that's worn off just a little bit. Let me see here. As we look to the rest of... let's get on over here to power forward. Anthony Davis, again, I think he might be out. He is actually priced below Giannis by 1,000. If he plays, your mileage may vary. We're going to have to see how the Pelicans handle this. I think Anthony Davis is going to be relatively professional about it, but they are going to trade him most likely in this summer. So if he gets, God forbid, some sort of freak injury that's serious, and here's a guy that ends up going to the locker room about every 5 games mid-game, it could be rough. So we'll have to see what happens there. John Collins dropping a little bit. He's now down to 7,700 against Charlotte. He could be in the mix here. Al Horford at 6,600. Nice matchup for him going against the Clippers. I don't see anybody too scary in their front court that's going to give him problems. Let's focus on Horford. What do you think about him at 6,600?
Yeah, really nice matchup for him going against the Clippers. The only concern is that we see him play fewer minutes in non-competitive games, kind of like we do with Kyrie Irving, where Brad Stevens does a pretty good job of managing his minutes within the game. So again, it's just a spot where if I have Horford, maybe you want to play him with Lou Williams or something. But at 6,600, I don't think that's even necessarily a requirement because it's just a really appealing spot against the Clippers front court. And Horford does so many things well when he's on the floor that even if he does only get 28 to 30 minutes, he still could pretty easily give you like 40 fantasy points.
Yeah, and just so we don't bury the lead, 11.5 point favorites are Boston at home. But this is one of those ones where you got to think, Horford should be a big part of that. Should be in the mix to approach a double-double, and we know he's an excellent passing big man, so could chip in a couple of assists there. I do like him for that one. Bobby Portis. He is going against his former squad. Adam, we've mentioned that 3 times already, but he is 5,400. I'm guessing he gets 30 minutes in Chicago, even if he's coming off the bench. Thoughts on Bobby Portis back against his old team?
I love it. We'll have to see how many minutes he plays in the game against Cleveland, but he's off to a really good start for the Wizards. And I think that it's just I think it's a really good spot for him to be in coming over to this Wizards team. I think that he gets more minutes for Washington than he was for Chicago, and now he gets to go up against a bad Chicago team. I absolutely love Bobby Portis.
All right, we've got two more guys I want to mention, and then again, Adam's going to be covering all of this in the deep dive article that is behind the paywall. We've already said use promo code EARLYBIRD to get 50% off any 1 month package here at Awesemo, and giving you a way to get into the free drawing for a full year of premium content. Why not do both? Jump behind the paywall and see all the good stuff. We've got Ivan Rab coming in here. Or is it Ivan Rob? I have no idea.
Ivan Rob, I believe.
I worked for a guy that his name was, well, it was spelled the same, Ivan, but he was not from Russia, so it was Ivan. And I would get that wrong so many times because I would rarely actually talk to him in person because he was like 6 levels above me, but it was always embarrassing when I would say it incorrectly. So just throwing it out there. So that's why you see me messing up all the time on that particular name. The other names, well, there's other stories behind that. But we've got Rob in a decent spot. We've got Pascal Siakam going against the Knicks, also in a good spot. But if Marc Gasol joins the squad here, what do you feel about Siakam?
Yeah, if Gasol's good to go with Toronto, it just makes everything messy there because you have to see how the minutes are going to play out with Gasol and Ibaka. I would expect that you don't see any more Pascal Siakam at the 5, which is not ideal for him. So a lot really depends on Gasol.
All right, let's see here. What is going on with this? Uh-oh, a little bit of an... All right, I've got to fix that. Wait, did I say that out loud? Damn it. All right, centers. We're finishing it up here. Of course, this is the Foundational Podcast. You can check Adam and I out going game by game through all 8 games on the main slate Saturday at 11:15. 8 games, Adam. I think even you and I are going to take 90 minutes on that because there's going to be a lot to talk about. But that is over on the Awesemo YouTube channel. Definitely check that out. Heck, even subscribe for it. Hit that notification bell to be alerted anytime we go live with premium content, which seems to be about, or with our free content, which seems to be about 4 or 5 times a day, which is pretty good. And we do appreciate all of you many gamers coming over from various other sites and seeing the different things that we're putting forth here, because I think we have a unique take on how we do things here at Awesemo. Most of us are playing in the mass multi-entry, and most of us have been around for a long time playing. So we've got a perspective that I don't think is at a lot of the other sites, because many of us, not Adam, of course, because Adam's Bucks Deluxe, he's in the big baller category, as is Alex Baker, you know him as Awesemo, but the rest of us are down here in the cheap seats, and we can tell you the best ways to make your dollar be stretched, as well as to have a lot of fun. And it's playing in the lower dollar contest with the better payout structures. Check out our content. Check out the bankroll management series that we've got going on YouTube. All sorts of good stuff there coming from Awesemo.com. Centers, Adam. Nikolai Vucevic going against Milwaukee. How are you feeling about that at 8,800?
That's just too cheap of a price tag on Vooch. And finally, we have him on a slate that does not have Karl-Anthony Towns, does not have Joel Embiid, does not have Nikola Jokic, and we can roster a lot of Nikola Vucevic finally.
Let's see here. I'm just going to read some points here real quick. This is DK scoring. 43, 36, 53, 37, 54, 53, 41, 58, 55, 45, 50. He has just been amazing this season. I believe he is a free agent after this year, Adam. So he's going to be getting top dollar, or he might be a restricted free agent, but definitely someone that you want to have in your plans on Saturday. Going down to some of our lower price guys here, we do have Kenneth Faried, who has been outstanding in his stint here at Houston. We know that Clint Capella is targeting a February 21st return date. So now is the time that you want to get in on the fun with the Manimal, Kenneth Faried. What are your thoughts here on Faried going against Steven Adams?
Really tough spot for him, but center isn't quite as deep on this slate as it normally is. A lot's going to depend on news from that from the Memphis trade. Like if Jonas Valanciunas is starting at 5,100 against New Orleans, then it gets really tough to go to Kenneth Faried. If Valanciunas is coming off the bench or Valanciunas still isn't playing yet, then you kind of get an emptier mid range, and I would still prefer Horford to Freed, but it's not as deep a position.
DeAndre Jordan, 5,500. That's about as low as we've seen him. Now, we know he's likely to split the center minutes there with Mitchell Robinson. We're not sure how that is going to be shared, but he is, good God, they released Enes Kanter outright. Just LOL Knicks. I don't know what's going on there. But 5,500 for DeAndre Jordan. Talk to me about that price point.
It's tough with the minutes here. I don't anticipate him getting more than 28 to 30 minutes in most games. He's there basically just to help develop Mitchell Robinson. The $5,500 price tag is nice. Again, if Valanciunas is starting for Memphis, I don't see any reason to play Jordan over Valanciunas. If Valanciunas is out, then you don't have quite as many, or it's one less, really good option there. I would still prefer $6,100 Steven Adams against Houston. I'd still prefer $6,700 Miles Turner against Cleveland. I kind of overlooked that when I was talking about Fareed, but I love him. You have Bobby Portis with DraftKings, or with center eligibility on DraftKings that I prefer to Jordan. So it's a nice price. It's just still, I have questions about his upside.
All right. As we finish up things here, wrapping up, we do have Larry Nance, who is starting on Friday night. He is 5,700, going to be going against Miles Turner. Would you prefer Turner, or if Nance is starting again, Nance for the $1,000 discount on DraftKings?
Miles Turner. I absolutely love Miles Turner. He's playing out of his mind. He has a great matchup against Cleveland. I love Turner.
Leads the league in blocks. I think he has 6 rebounds in his last 3 games or something like that. That's okay. We get the bonus points for blocks. Last guy, one of your favorites, the bodyguard there, the pick and roll man with one, Kemba Walker. We have Cody Zeller at 4,200 against the Atlanta Hawks. That feels like a fun spot, Adam.
Yeah, it does. But again, you're kind of giving up a lot of upside by going to Cody Zeller. He's probably not going to play 30 minutes or anything. It's an appealing spot, but it's just a matter of, can you live with 27 or 28 points at, really any position, but, especially taking up a center spot.
All right, gamers, that is going to wrap it up for us. Reminder, once again, we do have the DFS strategy show at 11:15. That will be Adam and I going through game by game of the whole main slate. That'll be a fun one. We'll get that out there on the podcast feed as well. And then you've got Fast Eddie Fair taking you down the home stretch in live before lock. We'll have to find out. 8 games is kind of on that break point. He might start an hour and 15 before lock just to make sure he can get through everything and answer questions. But that will be updated on our Twitter feed as well. You can follow Adam at ShipMyMoneyDFS. I am at EmacDFS on Twitter. And of course, it is Awesemo_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.